Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm the Jaywalker. Today, ghost story for Saturday. Where's this talking coming from? Join me on a jaywalk. So today is a story from a family member. That I wouldn't have thought would have had any stories. But yesterday, I asked him about it and turns out he did. So we were at Lagoon. It's a little amusement park just outside of Salt Lake City. It's about 25 or 30 minutes north of Salt Lake City. And there's a section of Lagoon, section of this amusement park that's called Pioneer Village. Pioneer Village is a collection of 19th century buildings, homes, an old town hall, different buildings that came from different parts of the state. And originally they'd been on a section of land up in the foothills outside of Salt Lake. But back in the mid-1970s, they were bought by Lagoon and moved from this area just on the outskirts of Salt Lake to Farmington, the town where Lagoon currently is. And and this purchase took place in like 1975. So from 1975 to 1978, Lagoon was moving all this, but prior to the sale, prior to the purchase by Lagoon, people would come and walk through these buildings in this area on the outskirts of Salt Lake. And it was there that my father-in-law George worked at Pioneer Village. And he worked mainly in the barn. It was like this big, they call it the main house. It was like this big barn where a lot of the animals were kept, or at least they did some servicing of the animals there. But that's where he worked. He did a lot of taking care of the animals, and there were nights that he closed down the park. And number one, I had no idea that he had worked there back then. This was just a year or two after he graduated from high school back in the early 70s. But he worked there. And on one particular night this happened a number of times, he said, but one night that he remembered, he was closing down the park and closing up the building, and the building was sectioned off into 4 different parts, and each part was kind of locked down separately from the others. And so he would have to make sure that each section was locked up and closed up before he left. There were these nights, and there was one night in particular, he's there, and it's late, probably, it's dark, it's late, probably 9 o'clock-ish at night. And it's maybe in the fall, so it's dark, and he's hanging out, just trying to get everything finished up. All of a sudden, and another section of the building, and it was big enough that they could do all the work, but small enough that you knew someone was there if they were there. No one else was there. They'd gotten everybody out. He's the only one there. But in this other section of the barn, he hears a full-on conversation going. Can't quite make it out, but he hears 2 people or more out there talking. So he's like, what the heck is going on? Goes out, checks that part of the building, knowing full well that it's locked, knowing that no one is there, finds nobody there, and then here's talking. This conversation has moved to the next section over. moves from the section that he's just come to, walking up as he's going to find no one in this next section where he had just heard this conversation move to. And the conversation moves, honestly, back to the section that he had just come out of. And this went on for minutes. He's going through to make sure that all this whole building is locked up and empty, which it is. But it's still hearing this constant conversation going on throughout the building with no one there but him. This happened a number of other times. He left maybe a year after this particular episode due to other reasons, not because of the haunting, but still had a number of really weird really weird occasions where things like this would happen. But that's today's story. I've been wanting Lagoon stories. This is word for today. I'm gonna find more. We're gonna get more of these. If you know anything about Lagoon, if you've ever had any haunted experiences, please comment, message me, let me know. I want to get them on here on the channel. But like, comment, share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel. Let's keep growing this. We'll see you soon. Thanks for joining me. We'll catch you on the next Jaywalk.